So a couple of weeks ago, we put out Tyr Kohout's AVARICE on my label Deviant Audio, and this is one of my favorite tracks by Tyr. It's got these morphing Neuro basslines and stabs, and it has this cool, sinister energy to it. So I've invited Tyr to do a track breakdown of AVARICE to explore the different techniques and concepts that he uses to build this track. By the way, my name is Stranger, and I provide knowledge and tools so that you can succeed in bass-oriented music. So Tyr is going to show us various techniques that he employs on AVARICE, from resampling and re-editing bass lines to unlocking the power of analog modeled vintage EQs. And if you haven't heard AVARICE yet, you can check it out in the link below. Also, I'm proud to announce that we've teamed up with Metapop to do a remix contest on Tyr's track XLD. And here's a little promo video we did for the contest.
Hey everyone, I'm happy to announce that Deviant Audio has partnered with Metapop to launch a remix competition for my track XLD. Label boss Stranger and I will select 3 winners to receive awesome prizes from Native Instruments and Captain plugins. We love creative and fresh tunes, so use your musical toolset to the max and show us your unique style. The competition deadline is February the 8th. Good luck!
So check the link below and start working on your remix soon. Alright, if you want to see more content like this, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons. Appreciate your help. Without further ado, let's check in with Tyr.
Hey everyone, this is Tyr Kohout. Today I'll be showing you my track AVARICE in fine detail. This is a tune that came together over a number of months, and in fact, technically a number of years. The track actually started out as a sketch that I, in passing, posted to Instagram of a funny vocal sample that I had found on a tape. Let me show you that tape. I keep my cassettes in a briefcase that I bought at a thrift shop. It would be this tape here, 20 Minutes to Financial Success Through Home Wholesaling, Specialty Merchandise Corporation, copyright 1995. And on the other side it says, make huge profits, spare time or full time from your home. I picked this tape up back in 2019 in a little thrift shop in Nova Scotia. I like finding little tapes like that. They're kind of an interesting relic of years past. But we still see many charlatans today hawking a similar kind of technique for trying to make money passively or with almost no effort at all, but still promising you enormous profits. I thought it would be funny to take a sample from such a ridiculous idea and make it into something danceable and fun, essentially turn the vocal samples into really just a mockery of its former self. It should go without saying, but please be careful of anyone telling you that you can make money easily online. So without further ado, let's take a look at the track in finer detail, and I'll show you some of the things that I did. So here's the project file. We'll start with the bass lines. You'll see that it's split into 2 pieces. One area titled bass, and then the other titled resample bass, or RSMPL bass. The reason for that is because I processed the basses through analog hardware, therefore necessitating capturing it permanently as it sounded, because there's no way I can recall that. So we can take a listen to the bass as it was originally done. And then the resampled version. This area here is the intro. So I captured the bass full range and then just filtered it so that the intro would have a little more impact. But we can hear some more differences as we go further along with the basses. So this one sounds really clean, and this one has all sorts of noise all over it. The reason for that is because analog gear makes noise. But I thought I actually added a really interesting dimension to the bass, having that noise dip in and out. And we can go further along in the bass and listen to some of the differences. And then we can listen to it vanilla. It's just bringing out a lot of the details with a little bit of extra hiss, but I thought that added a lot of nice character to it, so I left it in. Resampling also allows you to do a lot of flips and edits that would either be impossible or incredibly tedious to do in MIDI. Here's an example. It's good for little repeats and stutters like that, and of course you could achieve that using a loop effect up in the bass channel, but I like working with the audio a little more directly. It's quite visually intuitive to see whether or not the phase is maintained when you do edits, and just making sure that nothing's going to have a click when it comes back in. Also, for those of you that have seen my previous breakdown video, you'll recall that I'm a big fan of using MIDI sidechaining. Now what's different here is that I've actually baked the sidechaining into the resampled version of it, so I can't go back and necessarily change that. But I felt that after having tweaked the analog hardware and the settings enough, baking the sidechaining in was definitely alright. And here's another example of an audio flip that I did with the same sound. So the original started like this. Kind of like a bubbly low bass, and this is what I flipped it over to for one of the variations. And that dropping out effect was just achieved by doubling the length of the clip and then using the beat mode to step through the available audio, because you could sort of imagine this as having big gaps. We could change that beat step to be different values, like 16th or 1/2. Because there's only so much audio in here, so if you stretch it out a lot, it's going to have to make some sort of sacrifice to play that back. And so I liked the way that the 1/4 step sort of gave it this stutter edit feel. So if we move down to drums, we'll take a look at the actual drum bus itself. I did some flavor EQing here and really distorted the heck out of this EQ. This is the IK 1081 or T-Rox EQ81 based on the Neve 1081. And we can take a listen to how the drums sound with and without this channel strip. So that's on. And that's off. I've distorted this quite heavily to brighten the drums as well as give them some character. Classic EQ, just to cut the extreme low frequencies off to leave a little more room for the subs and a couple of little dips here and there. Same thing with this EQ8. Sometimes as you're mixing in multiple sessions, you'll hear frequencies that you didn't hear were a problem the first time. Since I was out of bands that I could do that with, I loaded up another EQ to do that. This is a trick that I didn't show in my previous track breakdown because it didn't need it in that track. I needed to clear out as much energy as I possibly could from the low end. So in this case, the multiband dynamics basically cuts all of the frequencies above 113 Hertz when the kick is not playing, and it is only when the kick is playing it will allow the bass frequencies back through. This is a technique to essentially EQ out all of the bass from the elements that are not kick drums automatically. And we can take a listen to how that sounds without the kick. If we turn that effect off, it's subtle, but you'll notice that all the way down here, the snare is especially creating a lot of frequencies that are below 100 Hertz that are going to clog up the mix. And as far as the individual elements are concerned, the kick drum is basically just a couple of samples from some sample packs that I have. And I've distorted it with the Arouser plugin. It's a classic go-to for me because it has a really tight, raunchy sound to it. In this case, I've clipped the transient of the kick heavily to make it sound more sharp. We can turn that off. Back on. Gives a lot more beef, and the snare, of course, is done in Addictive Drums too. And we'll solo that so we can get a sense for how that sounds. This plugin is great because you can really mess with all of the individual parameters of this drum. We can listen to just the snare close mic, the overhead, and the room. And all together. I've tried to keep the sound tight and fast. That's why I use such a quick release time on here, and I cut a lot of the lows out so that it had tons of room for the other elements in the track. This tone designer here will tamp down on the fundamental even more so that it doesn't sound too beefy in the mix. And then the rides and hi-hats were also done in Addictive Drums. Just a little element to add a bit of variety to the kit. This is just a preset from the Fairfax library, and during some portions of the track, the shakers will come in and they sound like this. That's a classic shaker that you've heard a lot in other tracks. A good portion of the pads in here were created in Faceplant, and then the other ones I grabbed from various sample packs depending on the requirements of the sound. The intro pad sounds like this on its own. The patches for these end up being kind of complicated, but basically, as the pad evolves throughout the track, these macros will increase the amount of FM send to the oscillators, giving them that kind of otherworldly tone. Faceplant's a wonderful tool for making intricate sounding pads that have a lot of layers and movement to them. And then another pad that comes in right after that one sounds like this. And I use pretty much the same technique there, which is to say that the pads will FM more as the track evolves. And there's a few more Faceplant patches up here, like this one. And that's just kind of there to give it a bit of a steppy effect. And I created it by just using a lot of really strong filters. And there's another patch that sounds like this. Just a really distorted pad with quite a bit of filtration in it. And that's what I mean by Faceplant, just having a lot of options for you, because you can get in there and do all these surgical movements. You can very easily map all of these parameters to these internal processing units. They are available as separate VST plugins when you buy Faceplant, but I like using them inside just to maintain a maximum level of control. And just to keep things under control, I use the T-Rex bus compressor with a fairly aggressive threshold. And then a lot of the distortions coming from this channel strip here with it off. Very vanilla sounding. The distortion in the mix helps it stand out more. And there's a bunch of other effects in that I've consolidated in here. Basically, the entire pad channel is compressed with the sidechain compressor against the kick to increase the feeling of loudness in the mix. And finally, that voiceover. There's a lot of really funny samples in here, and they're quite audible in the mix. I thought it would be kind of interesting to play a few in here, but then also play a couple of cuts from the unabridged version of it. We can isolate some of these elements to see what they sound like on their own.
5 times my former salary. Now I'm my own boss.
I need $8,000, my very first
I just bought a brand new van.
Taking in over
$1,200 in the same
I'm
day.
a wrecking.
Those types of vocal warping effects are done through this window down here. When you open up the clip and inspect its properties, you can automate some of the parameters of the transposition mode that you're in. In this case, texture is a commonly used technique to give it a very grainy sound and keep it sort of alien and digital and unnatural. And that's what I wanted to go for, because this is sort of meant to be a sequence like your intrusive thoughts of what you would expect other people's lives to be like. So what would that sound like? And that's kind of roughly what my interpretation of it was. And star of the show opening line.
Congratulations. The message you are about to hear has transformed the lives of thousands of men and women.
For the 3D effect, I use Isotope Nectar 2. Basically, the bypass is just unbypassed there. It's always running in the background, but you don't hear it until this very last section. And there's just a lot of EQing that has gone into trying to make that cassette recording sound a little more modern. If I take off some of this processing, you'll hear what I mean.
Congratulations. The message you are about to hear has transformed the lives of thousands of men and women.
And you can still hear that there's music mixed into the background, but the goal here was that I could just kind of EQ it down so that it's hard to tell. I also processed this in Isotope RX. I used the music rebalance tool to try to increase the dialogue, and there's some other clips in here as well. This is the entire recording over here, and there's all sorts of very funny gems in here.
Would you like to know there's enough money in the bank to pay for your kids' education? Would you like to be earning regularly, year in, year out, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 or more? If you want to achieve any of these goals for yourself, there is really only one answer that will work, and that is to be in business for yourself.
Finally, we have our effects buses here. Sort of signature delay effects are coming from the T-Rex space delay. This is easily one of the best delays you can get. This essentially emulates a very famous Roland tape delay and does a bang up job of it. I've automated a couple of the parameters on the space delay, such as the feedback amount, to just suit what's going on, such that I can create builds with it depending on what's going on, as well as the rate sync just to change the speed of the delay. Bass amount just just to cut the lows dry wet control, because sometimes I wanted it to sound a little more like the original signal. Just a bit of Valhalla Vintage Verb down here, and the classic Waves H delay for certain effects where the space delay was just getting too clogged up with other effects. And the master limiter, the T-Rex Stealth limiter, very transparent, it's loud. I like the way that it sounds, and we can compare before and after what the track sounds like. To make it fair, I'll turn down the output to basically match how much gain reduction I'm doing. And with it off,
Would you like to be really wealthy?
and back on. It has a good habit of gluing things into place. And to catch the intersample peaks, I've used the Ozone 7 Maximizer with true peak limiting enabled, as well as filtering the DC offset and the usual things that you would do. The noise shaping control has a very big impact on how the track sounds sometimes, so you have to use these settings almost like an EQ. If you set the noise shaping really, really aggressively, you'll see that it's adding a lot of super high frequency noise. So if you've got quite a dark sounding track, you can actually use this kind of to your advantage. In this case, I left it completely off and have opted for dithering noise to be totally flat. And that's basically a wrap. AVARICE was a really fun track to make, and it essentially took like 18 months to make if you consider the time from finding that tape originally in that thrift store. I like that I was able to take something that was obviously predatory and then turn it around into being something more fun and lighthearted. But I hope you enjoyed taking a quick look at the session file for this track, and I certainly look forward to giving you more content like this where I can show you some of the thought process and workflow behind the tracks that I've been releasing. And until next time, see you soon.
Alright, so that was Tyr's breakdown of his track AVARICE. And as you can see, he's employed some pretty interesting techniques to get his sounds pumping. Not to mention his bassline resampling and re-editing technique is a nice way to create interesting and moving basslines. One thing that I was really impressed with was the use of analog EQs, which gives us this really crunchy, warm, and big sound. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys picked something up from Tyr's breakdown. But that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep practicing. I'll see you at the next video.